Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. They say that history repeats itself, and it does, but so do people. There's a pattern in everything in life. I was having lunch today with an old friend of mine, and he said, you know, Glenn, that's just kind of your pattern. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it's what I told my kids when they thought they found the person they were going to marry. He said, have you found their patterns yet? I said, what are you talking about, Dad? He said, everybody has patterns. They keep doing the same thing. Good or bad, the same patterns keep repeating. He said, make sure you find out your future spouse's patterns, especially the bad ones, before you marry them. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with them over and over again. I want to look at patterns tonight. Last week, I showed you all these chalkboards, and I showed you all of these questions that we had. Well, we've started writing some new ones because the patterns are bothering me. There are too many things here. There's too many questions. What is this? Is it here in America? Why should I care? What happened in England this weekend? What does one nation, that leftist rally on the mall, how does that even relate to this? What role does a smart grid play? Who are the revolutionary socialists of Egypt? What role does community organizing play? You know what? This one is important. What role does a community organizing play? Patterns. Some say that this revolution is like the revolution of 1776. I think it's more like 1979 in Iran, or if you want a revolution, how about the French Revolution? But people are saying that this is the American Revolution. Well, where is the pattern to evidence that claim? Where is it coming from? There is one pattern we found that does fit, and it's one you need to know. It's community organizing. Tonight and all week, the things on Egypt you will not hear anywhere else, and why it is critical that you hear and understand it. Hello, America. Do you remember the big progressive One Nation rally? One Nation stuck out to me. It's what Van Jones autographed one of my books. He wrote, Glenn, let's just be one nation. Working together with a red star in between. Working together on what? Towards what is what bothered me, especially when you saw all of these groups together. What does the Young Communist League have to do with the UAW or the steel workers? Progressive, socialist, Marxist groups, religious groups, green groups, communist, powerful unions led by communists, SEIU, AFL-CIO, radical groups like La Raza. What did all of these groups, what were they all working together for? Well, in one way or another, they want to end the Western way of life as you and I understand it. They may disagree on exactly what the new way of life will be. For example, Van Jones, he wants a new green utopia. At least that's what he says. Leave old gray capitalism to a new green capitalism. And then he says, will it stop there? Oh, no, it won't be enough. Another one might want a communist utopia, but they'll work that out later. People that are in some of these really radical communist or socialist, Marxist, Mexican first groups that are aligned here may want to give the southern half of the United States back to Mexico. Well, does the AFL-CIO really want that? So how can they come together? Well, they're working together to help stomp out the free market and capitalism. They'll work everything else out later. That's why Code Pink and the AFL-CIO can stand together in America. And it's why they're rushing in to support the democratic revolution in Egypt. I want you to remember the 3 steps that I gave you last week on Egypt. And I said, I'll go ahead and plant my sword, or plant my flag on this one, die on my sword on these. These are true. And here's the premise. The radical Islamists, the communists, the socialists, they will work together against Israel. They will work together against capitalism. And they will work together to overturn stability. Why? Because they're not a fan of Israel. They're not a fan of capitalism. And they'll overturn stability because that leads to revolution. Oh, so very 1776. It leads to revolution. So these 3 groups will work together. And we're seeing it now. But I'm getting a lot of heat because no one will actually put 2 and 2 together. And I'm getting it from both sides of the table, and that's fine. I only bring it up because you need to understand how you're being played, or how the trusted sources that you might have trusted for a long time are out of step. Conservative Bill Kristol. I have nothing against Bill. He came out this weekend talking about me, saying that I'm, I don't know, a conspiracy theorist or whatever. But more importantly, he says here, he refers to the Muslim Brotherhood and the unrest in Egypt as 1776. And that's the accepted media storyline. Even the Obama administration, even Obama himself is okay with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Today we learned that the Muslim Brotherhood has decided to participate, which suggests that they are now involved in the dialogue that we have encouraged.
Tell me about the Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, I don't think they're very dangerous at all, Piers. This is a group that is increasingly just engaged in normal politics.
The Muslim Brotherhood, great concern to a lot of people. They're a threat to the USA.
I think that the Muslim Brotherhood is one faction in Egypt. They don't have majority support in Egypt.
If any group wants to come forward and play a role in a democratic process, a peaceful process, that is their right as Egyptians.
But should they be part of a political process?
Well, again, that is up to them.
Okay. Only one side can be right. It's either, as Bill Kristol says, 1776. Or it's, like I say, they are dangerous, and they will work together with anyone. So is the Muslim Brotherhood peaceful? Well, I'm going to show you tonight in their own words. I've got it on videotape, so you decide who's connecting the dots here and who's being lazy. Who's not doing their job? You decide, because maybe I'm wrong. If you want to know if they're peaceful, you got to go to who's their intellectual or spiritual advisor. Now, their spiritual and intellectual leader for the Muslim Brotherhood, this is the 500 most influential Muslims, 2009. You go to page 36, I think it is, and you find their spiritual leader. He is Sheikh Yusuf al-Qadari, I think his name is. How do you say it? There he is. Here he is here. He's a good-looking man. He was ranked the 9th most influential Muslim in the entire world. The write-up in this book describes him as an Egyptian scholar who is articulate and widely read.